After pretty much a year of trying to get this thing going, pitfalls, relapses.
We're back at it. We don't stop. We don't. That's not in our vocabulary. We don't quit. We're always flexing and jacked and juiced.
Trying some Cocoa Love, brought to you by Puff, Big Brother Love.
Big Brother Puff.
Fighting for his life in court right now.
Is that it? He's in Hawaii. He that'd be interesting. If I guess is the not Shire. I was gonna say Chirac. That's not the name of his brand. He had to sell it. Remember?
How many brands did he have?
He had a lot. Sean John. He had his music stuff. He had is it Ciroc? How do you pronounce it?
The way I would describe Ciroc, I think, is like none of his brands were like actually good. Like he had just a bunch of like mediocre.
What does
brands.
that mean? What does that mean? Today?
Okay, the liqueur was not good. Sean John clothing.
Yeah.
Do you know anybody that was wearing it?
FUBU era, Sean John, Rockaware, Echo. It was interesting when all that stuff popped up because it was like skater, hip hop, early 2000s, MTV, street culture, M1. And then all of it kind of disappeared and like it just got I see what you're saying.
Well, apparently they shut that business down in like 2018, Sean John. But now I was thinking on like what were they selling to have this massive operation as Rico operation, you know?
I mean branding, it's like celebrity, these people a lot of failure comes with success. You look at President Trump and
Trump.
He's failed. He's had a lot of business ventures that have failed. But I don't know. I'm rooting for Big Brother Puff. Rooting for Sean John. Controversial take. We'll see what happens in the course. I just want a fair trial. How about that? I tell people if someone was trying to steal my money, I understand that someone could have a visceral response to that. But it does seem like she was more complicit in the freak-offs than perhaps we thought she was.
The freak-offs keep getting freakier, man.
Yeah.
The more we learn about
Bill
them.
Maher recently, he got in trouble because he was saying that victims of abuse should, immediately report this stuff and they shouldn't wait around years upon years and have like a complicit relationship and like text back hearts and say, I can't wait to the next one. I mean, I think people can, doesn't that send mixed messaging that if you actually are a victim of like sexual assault and abuse, but then there's another theory where it's like, you're so in deep with your abuser that you can't logically or reasonably see reality. But I don't know. I think some of this stuff, we'll see.
I think it's hard because I don't think we'll ever understand. Because when he's got like, fame and notoriety, he's got money, he's got access, and then I think. Because there's like, the CEOs who are billionaires, but they're not famous, and that's like another type of power. And I think when you get that fame monster and the money,
right?
And then I think it just gets so hard you're in that world, it's exciting because you're like, we're in Dubai, we're going to Turks and Caicos. I was at a party and LeBron and Drake were here last night.
Right. There is a different currency and ecosystem for being famous and rich and not just being rich.
It's like one of those things, like that's why all these old rockers, they can't give it up because I think they need it. And I think it's the same thing. You get used to
that dopamine hit.
With the kind of, the LA, the bottom of the pyramid, where everyone's trying to vie to get to the top.
Well, what's the ultimate form of, the ultimate level of access? Being famous. I mean, there's so many I saw a documentary on Moby, and he, said when he became really famous, like in the late 90s, 2000s, like he just noticed that everywhere he went, people just became nice to him just because they knew he was a famous guy. And I think that's different because if you're a really rich person but no one knows who you are, there aren't just going to be people giving you free stuff. You aren't going to have access to all these things, people offering all you these stuff. It's a different world.
Yeah, you get free. It seems like that you get free stuff at that level. Like even Michael Jackson, there's stories like he gets free hotels.
Yeah.
When you get to that level, it's everyth's for free.
Yeah, but I mean, so few people are Michael Jackson stuff. Like there's only like, I feel like Trump may be the only person alive who's on that level. Like Elon Musk. Like there's only a handful of people throughout human history who reached that level. But even Diddler, he's been around at it for a long time. Big Brother Puff. AKA Love, he goes by that name too.
AKA the fuzzy koala bear.
Well, but I do think, he's a hero to the black community. He's a dad. People forget about the, you know, the positive things he's done, and then I think they're muddying things up, and I don't know
What would you say the most positive thing is that he's done?
I mean, I think he changed a lot of the music industry and the hip hop industry for good. Like as far as like the '90s goes with Bad Boy, you know, like, you know, the whole stuff with him and Biggie. Like he was also part of the big reason for that big East Coast West Coast rap war. He was definitely in that and part of like, you know, formulating that and behind the scenes and creating that kind of attention. I mean, he was so, I know he's like everywhere, and he's so ubiquitous in the '90s, like MTV everywhere. He was everywhere.
You can't deny his drive.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Especially in the early '90s. I mean, he was like just making it happen with everything.
I mean, what was the? I can't say like the last big song hit he had. You know, it's like that's
I think he kind of knew. He's like, this is like I'm not in this game like I was.
Yeah,
you know, I think he actually probably realized as an artist, it's like you have your lifespan a little bit. I don't know.
I think
think about all of his hits.
Yeah.
From like Every Breath You Take sample. And you have that
the Godzilla,
one with the Godzilla one.
That's Come With Me, great song. Great Jimmy Page and the guitar there.
I guess what's it, Bad Boys for Life? Is that original?
Bad Boys.
Probably not. You probably think it is, and then it's like
he did some stuff.
Freddie
I think he had an
King.
album like 2000. I remember because I was like, you know, in middle school or high school, but he did like it was like Push Play or something. He had some decent songs, but it's hard to age as a rapper, hip hop artist, rock star. You know, I think you reach a certain point where like I just either I'm moving on with my life, doing different things, or I just can't. You know, I don't have the energy anymore. I feel I'm not part of the zeitgeist anymore. I have kids now. I have all these businesses now. I'm not a young aspirational man.
Yeah, it's the same. I think I get it. Like who are the acts like 9 Inch Nails? They're like we're not like an angsty band.
No,
it's like we're multi-millionaires. You know, or like I'm not. I drink coffee when I wake up. And chill.
We've thought. I mean, I think the best thing you can do is like what Sting, Dave Matthews, Pearl Jam. Like you know your audience. You know your tour schedule. You know how to do this as like a circus act. You're just from city to city, and it's the best you can do. I mean, it's tough. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, I do think you know, there's a lot about, you know, the situation with him, and I guess they're trying to get him more on sex trafficking and like I think this is different than like a Cosby case, an R. Kelly case, even like a Jeffrey Epstein thing. This is a totally different thing. And,
yeah, this one they're trying to prove the RICO.
Yeah, but his defense is doing a good job so far. Like they're actually doing a good job.
I think it's some of it is muddled, and I think that's what the defense is playing off of, because you have these like assistants where they might have been SA'd, but then at the same time it's like they've been going back to the Diddy parties for years.
SA grape.
Yeah,
it's all this stuff. Like, I don't know, but at that level, it's like, you know, you're probably with so many people. If you're really going for that, you're sleeping with so many people. You're
Joy Taylor, essentially.
Yeah, it's like there's no way to track
Taylor
all of this. Yeah, Taylor Joy. Shout out to Taylor Joy.
Taylor Joy,
come on in. We would love to see you. You know, in bikini, sweaty, inspirational. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I don't know. It's funny because, you know, Diddy ran a marathon too, and you know, I thought that was cool. I remember watching that. Like he did the New York City Marathon. He's training for it, and he's just, you know, one of those high energy guys. You know, he's gonna crash out.
He definitely
inevitable.
is.
It's inevitable.
You can tell, like in his testimonies, he just gets what he wants at all times, and it doesn't. Just keeps asking the question until they give him the right
I guess
answer.
the real question is like, was he really responsible for Tupac's death? And it's like, I think that's one of the biggest conspiracy theories. I do think that he was probably the progenitor. He's behind a lot of the stuff for that. I would not be surprised.
Yeah, we have to kind of go back in time, and I think we haven't really explored too much of that in this case. You know, it's focus on recent events, but there's all those like peripheral associates of Diddy. You know, some guy to be like Rodney and be like, I was there that day, and there's all these interviews everyone knows now. They're all coming out.
I feel, I mean, it's tough to be the husband and father of Cassie's children right now.
Oh my
you know, because
gosh.
I don't know if she was ever transparent or upfront about all the freak-offs and the stuff that went down. You know, like, getting pissed on by escorts and all this stuff.
One or two freak-offs.
Yeah, I wonder if he just figured out about that, you know, and I wonder how he's feeling about that, because it's like, I don't know, I think the history of someone before you marry them and have kids with them is a big deal, and if you're doing all this ridiculous, freaky stuff, I mean, I don't know. But there's a lot of, you know, girls like that who, you know, it's like the whore Madonna complex, and like they do all this crazy stuff in college with all these alpha guys, and then they do the beta bucks thing, you know, where they'll settle down and marry a nice guy who's more of a provider, father type than like a biker rock star, you know, fully jocked, equipped, rocked out high school quarterback.
Yeah, because it's like these girls, it's like you don't want to marry that guy in your like late 30s or 40s or 50s. He's like Ron Johning it hard. And you're like, can we just have some pancakes on Sunday?
I know. Well, we can't all just have, you know, we can't have everything we want. That's the thing. I think that's the delusion of modern life. You know, everyone wants their cake and they want to eat it. Everyone feels as if they can be young forever. No, you know, I think that's why a lot of people are having trouble getting married and having kids. I mean, not just financially, but just culturally speaking.
We should talk about
feels like they're missing out.
South Korea. Apparently, that's going to be the nation. That's going to experience the first fertility problems. They don't have enough young people to take care of the elderly, and it is kind of interesting. Where have we seen this in history where the economy becomes so much where like raising a kid is like a financial burden, therefore it slows the birth rate?
Well, technology's changed everything. You used to need family, community, and kids to just do daily work and activities, you know, to do whatever, you know. Now with technology's advanced so much, there's a lot of things we just don't have to do anymore. We have washer machines.
That's true.
We have, you know, the Walmart. We can just go there. We don't have to hunt for our food or even like spend all day prepping it and cooking it for a family. So
I wonder if that's going to be the
I think the U.S. is
the catalyst for robotics and AI is like, hey, the elder generations are getting old, therefore we need some sort of caretakers.
Right.
You know?
I think there's a lot of, I was talking to another friend about this, like there's a lot of techno-optimism to the future, but what usually happens isn't what was predicted. So our phones have gotten bigger, people are relying more on Ozempic, we've gotten fatter, you know, how long have we heard about like EVs taking over? And it's like, it's always on the precipice, but most people I still know are like, you know, internal combustion engines, gasoline, car. You know, cars
I mean, I think it sounds great in theory, but then we realize that it's a
how do you
problem.
implement it?
It's a big problem.
Yeah, and then it's like if AI, all the AI obsession lately, you know, we're, you know, I don't, it'd be a giant replacement rate, like theory. Like, what are all these people going to do who are suddenly fired from their jobs so AI replaces them? So you have millions upon millions of people who aren't college educated, you know, are used to doing their whatever, you know, that kind of, you know, day labor job, you know, from 6 to 5, and like that's their livelihood. What are you gonna do? I don't think UBI would fix it either. Universal Basic Income.
No, I don't know. We definitely are in like a change of society.
Yeah.
There's a lot of big problems, man, and
health is one of them.
Yeah, health is a big one.
Yeah, buy your steam sauna.
Oh my
You're
gosh.
staying in. No, you got 2 more minutes. You're dying. You're good.
We're live, ladies and gentlemen.
Football.
This is live.
Football.
We're really taking it to this level on the show. We're trying to get to the health, fitness, landscape.
We have to sweat it out while we're talking about a bunch of guys. Yeah, 1 more minute. But you know, I do think health and fitness is a big one. You know, we're just drowning in garbage, and it's tough. It's like people, as much as we want everyone to go to Erewhon and Whole Foods, they can't afford it. You know, I go to Whole Foods, you know, all the time, and it's like the price is so outrageous for just stuff, anything.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah. It doesn't even make sense. You know, you buy like, it's like, okay, I want to, don't want to wash my dishes, so I buy paper plates. And now it's like $6 for 20 paper plates. So even that option of like saving time is costing you money.
Yeah. So
you used to go to the dollar store for like $1, get 100 paper plates.
Like, we want to be reasonable and practical. A part of us, we you know, we don't believe as SBZ boys, as sauna boys, that you should be living this kind of daily routine and wake up and do your little thing, you know, and you know, it's unrealistic to believe that stuff. But you gotta do what you can, you know, even that's 30 minutes a day.
You gotta
do what you can. And that's why, you know, once we build our own saunas, it'd be a little bit more universal to get them out to people. But just being in here, you know, feeling energy. Check the clock, check the clock.
All right, it's 15 minutes.
No, we're going for another 15 minutes
right now.
No, another for right now.
I'm cutting it.
You're staying.
Cut the cameras.
I want to die.
Cut it.
I want to die.
I got to preserve the footage.